This is the Ask Faleskini podcast, where the modern economy is discussed from a skeptic's perspective. Mr. Faleskini helps you distinguish what is sustainable in our economy and what isn't. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not all mud is dirty. The podcaster Mr. Faleskini provides no-nonsense advice. He had it all, lost it all, went bankrupt multiple times, and is now attempting to come back from zero with sustainable growth. There are numerous coaches and preachers on the internet that preach about positive thinking and how life is all roses if you just care to see it that way. Well, Mr. Faleskini is definitely not one of them. We recommend you ask Faleskini to keep it real. He discusses the darker side of the current economic reality, the side that's more important for your personal and business finance. His first intention is to help you keep what you already have. Not to be a complete party pooper, Mr. Faleskini will also hint at the earning opportunities in the economy today. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please like, share, and subscribe. And now it's time to start taking notes. The mic goes to the podcaster, the one and only Mr. Faleskini.
Thank you, Taylor. Preparing and recording this episode was one of the most difficult decisions I had to take on this podcast. Forecasting the future of economy and business is my specialty. But so far, I only did specific forecasts for my clients. This time, I plan to make my first general forecast of the economy in 2023 for business people. This should help my listeners prepare better for 2023 and understand the potential weak spots that might be tested extensively in their business. Disclaimer: I assume no responsibility for the forecast presented in this podcast. This is not an investment advice. Do your own research. Let's get right into the numbers. Inflation will not lower until employment lowers. There will be a continuous shortage of workers in some specific industries. Price of money for businesses will rise. Loans, mortgages, and leases will become expensive due to the higher price of money. The higher price of money will be direct consequence of a higher rate of defaults and bankruptcies. Some countries will resume subsidized loans for specific sectors. Production output in the West will continue to decline in the first half of the year. On the other side, increased prices will lower the impact of lower economic activity on the GDP. Countries will start preparing extensive investment programs to improve GDP. Energy prices will continue to increase in retail. However, in some areas, there might be state subsidies for energy. Crude oil long-term price increase beyond inflation is not probable, but huge peaks in both directions, ups and down, in prices due to economic or political events are almost certain for 2023. Producing your own energy in the companies will become more and more common and popular in 2023. It is safe to assume that taxes will increase in most of the Western world. The tax cuts will be fewer and far in between. I strongly recommend that you get a good tax advisor. In general, it will be less desirable to work or trade or do business with offshore jurisdiction. Credit ratings will go down for most companies in the Western world. This will be as a direct consequence of lower credit ratings. You will need extra liquidity to pay your suppliers sooner or even in advance. You will have to demand higher insurance for payments you will receive from the buyers. Get a good advisor to help you with your credit ratings. Don't let your accountant just do nothing about your credit rating. As far as gold is concerned, price increase beyond inflation is possible. Peaks are highly probable in both directions due to the outside events. The same with silver. So price increase beyond inflation is probable. Peaks are highly probable in both directions due to the outside events. Investments. Please note, this is not an investment advice. This is just a forecast. When considering investment, have in mind that investments that are based on prediction of future capital gain will trade lower than in 2022 due to more and higher risk of future gain not materializing. Investment with existing cash flow will trade higher or will be significantly less impact if the prices start going down. I can safely claim that 2023 will be the time of positive cash flow happiness. I would say cash is king. However, bear in mind that inflation is eating away your hard-earned cash, or at least its purchase power, and cash will be eliminated in the future. In most of Europe, there are limits on cash dealings for companies. General liquidity in small and mid-sized businesses will be lower. So, general advice for 2023 for businesses is increase your liquidity, lower your debt, increase your income beyond inflation, invest in cash flow, not capital gain, and plan ahead. When you have to act fast. Let me point some difficulties or troubles that are due to materialize in 2023. At least one of the major banks will fail as a test of its influence on the global economy. At least one of the public trade companies will be in huge trouble in 2023. At least one of the G8 countries will be on the brink of bankruptcy. Let me continue by explaining how I prepared my businesses for 2022. I follow the general advice, and let me repeat it. If you increase your income more than inflation, you're golden. As for the payments, my businesses will demand full advance payment for all first-time clients. We will perform extensive credit rating checks for suppliers beyond a certain amount. We will prepare blacklists for people, companies that don't pay or don't deliver on time. We have prepared extensive tax optimization of all our businesses, and of course, as me personal as an individual. I have prepared a detailed plan for personal and corporate taxes for 2023. I will conduct more activities in search of new opportunities. I strongly believe that companies that will go under will leave an empty space on the market. So my search for the new opportunities should be able to identify these opportunities, and my businesses should be able to take full advantage of these opportunities. I will increase networking activities, and I will change my employment type. All the employments will be short-term and, when possible, on the projects. So this should cut our fixed costs as much as possible. This should make our companies more lean. And if we get in trouble and the sales stop or we cannot deliver, we don't have a problem with employees, since they are only linked to certain project or certain task, or they have a short-term contract, so we can let them go if any of our companies get in trouble. Let me start with the opportunities. However, this time in this forecast, opportunities are always hidden behind the threats. I will list the threats and hint at the opportunities. Let me start by stating that there's going to be a black swan events, and they are highly anticipated in 2022. I believe on average there's going to be one event every month that might destabilize the whole economy. It will be like rocking the boat. Let me make this advice as hands-on as possible. Prepare for one event a month that will destabilize your business. I strongly recommend that you prepare a sensitivity analysis and action plan for your business, and they should consist of at least the following topics or issues. What will happen if there's a huge increase in the interest rates? What will happen with your business if there's a huge increase in inflation? What happens to your business if there will be a drastic decrease in your clients' credit ratings? What will happen to your business if you experience supply chain problems and you will have to prepare alternatives for your existing suppliers? What happens to your business if the sale stops completely? If you don't have an in-house team that can prepare sensitivity analysis for you, order it with a consulting firm. Do not underestimate these documents, since this document might soon become your emergency lending procedure in 2023. By all means, improve your credit rating, increase prices, use inflation as argument or excuse when communicating increased prices to your clients, push for lower prices with your suppliers so that your input costs stay the same or even get lower. Find alternative financing sources for you and your clients. Your bank might decline a rollover or credit line, and your clients might not get financing from their bank. So try exploring either exporting finances, either all alternative ways that do not include just banks. Work on interpersonal relationship. When things get tough, you will need credibility with your employees and your suppliers. And there are two more direct threats to your business in 2022. One, and the biggest threat, is zombie companies. There are many zombie companies around. You will need your intelligence, else you will be in big trouble if you don't get paid or that you don't get the supplies that you need for your business. When I talk about zombie companies, I talk about companies that are not able to pay or repay their loans and that have a huge liquidity problem that is just a matter of time when bank that finance them will send them in liquidation. And on top of that, there's going to be a huge liquidity problem in 2023, especially for small and mid-sized businesses. Bank will tend not to extend your loans and offer rollovers. There might be a standby letter of credit that will be pulled back during the transaction. So be mindful of your liquidity and prepare for the worst case scenario. Always have alternatives to your existing finance. On top of the banking finances, there is a whole world of financing possible, invoice financing, similar. Think about that. Prepare an action plan. What happens? How will you react if your bank does not extend your loans and rollovers? I hope that this final episode does not come around as my forecast for the end of the world. However, I strongly recommend that you hope for the best but prepare for the worst. 2023 will be a year of opportunities, but also a year of huge threats that will materialize suddenly. Knowledge and right information will be more important than ever. Business people with skills will survive and prevail in 2023. I do believe that most well-managed businesses should be able to weather 2023 storm with additional liquidity, putting first priority on cash flow, extensive risk management, their own intelligence, and additional flexibility. Due to obvious, the new equilibrium will be established on many fronts in the economy in 2023. If you're a business person, ask for advice when third-party advice is needed. If you like this episode and my way of forecasting the future of economy, and if you need a specific advice for your business, you can book a call with me using the link in the description. I wish you all the best in 2023, and back to Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Faleskini, for this outstanding podcast. And thank you for listening to the Ask Faleskini podcast until the end. Mr. Faleskini would love to hear your feedback in the comments. And don't forget, if you want to know, ask Faleskini or listen to the Ask Faleskini podcast. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.